also we are having Lukas Irmler. He is one of the youngest speakers at Hidden Hero, and he is maybe one of the most interesting because he has a lot of Guinness World Records. He is the guy, I think, who never sleeps because he is always doing records, and he's very adventurous. He is doing Slackline. Unfortunately, I didn't open the picture of Slackline. It's somebody who is walking, on the line above the hills, on the islands, above the lakes. And he was the one who was conquering Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe. And 200s were talking about it. So, Lukas, nice to see you.
Yeah.
Happy to see you.
Hi. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. How is you're that adventurous person? This slackline, for me, it sounds like a very, very dangerous thing. And I also know that you were afraid of height. Then if you are afraid of height, slackline, to walk above on this line is a very dangerous thing. How you overcome that fear? What made you do that?
Yeah, first of all, I'd say that slacklining can be very dangerous for sure, especially if you are not aware of how to do it properly. Because on very high slacklines, we call them high lines, and we usually use protection. So we have a harness and a leash to connect us to the slackline. So if you do everything correctly, it can be performed as a rather safe sport, I would say. But you still have to deal with the fear of heights and the fear of falling down, because in the beginning you will fall down. And for me, I kind of discovered this fear of heights when I first got introduced to slacklining, because I was very sure that I was not afraid of heights or not afraid of big cliffs and stuff. But when I was standing on a slackline, like a 2.5 centimeter wide webbing for the first time, I discovered this fear. And the main challenge was to overcome this fear. And basically how I did it was by exposing myself over and over in this situation and learning with every time and every step. Nothing happened. I survived. I basically got more confident with every time I tried it. And I slowly managed to control this fear and to not get rid of it, I would say, but to minimize it to a point where I can still perform.
What do you think, if you remember all these slack lines, and I understood that you did almost thousands of them in different countries and different places, what was the one personally for you, the most challenging one?
A very, very challenging line, which comes to my mind very quickly now, is a line I did just last year in Sweden. We did the longest slackline in the world, a 2-kilometer long slackline. Which was also 600 meters high between two big mountains in the Abisko National Park in the north of Sweden. And crossing this line was kind of like the pinnacle of all my efforts, I would say, because it was not only a very long slackline, which takes you a long time to cross, and you're not allowed to make any mistakes, because if you fall once, it doesn't count as a record anymore. So you have to cross over 2,000 meters without any rest, without any breaks or any falls. And doing this 600-meter height was definitely a great challenge for me, and a great victory I was very happy to claim.
Lukas, as I understood, you're a kind of person for whom fame is very important. Maybe that's why you did that many Guinness records. Isn't it? You did it for fame, or you did it for money, or you did it to attract? Why are you doing that?
Yeah, it's a good question why people do what they do, and especially for me, why I expose myself to situations where I definitely have to face my fears over and over. And well, I gotta say, it's not for the money. Otherwise, I would play football. I guess that would be a lot better in that matter. But for the fame, I probably have not done it in the first place. I do honestly enjoy it to be quite known, and to also just know a lot of people in the world. I think that is like a big advantage of my sport, that I got to know so many people around the planet, and I get to talk to a lot of interesting people. So if you want to see that as a positive side effect, I definitely see that. But I think my main inspiration and my main drive to continue pushing myself further and further is just that I really enjoy the process of challenging myself with something which I find impossible in the first place. And then basically step by step, as you walk the slackline, step by step, working myself to a point where I can slowly start to believe in the impossible, and one day find out that I can actually do it.
What are these people who are doing the slackline? Till what age you can do it? Let's say till age of 60, or you can do it only till you're 30. Who are these people who are doing slackline?
It's very difficult to say that because slacklining is a very young sport. So I'm basically like in the very first generation of people who do that professionally. But so I'm in my beginning of 30s, and I would say I'm definitely the pinnacle of my abilities and achievements. But I also heard about people who started slacklining at the age of 90 years old. So I'd say there is no limit unless you.
Lukas, at the age of, at what age?
90 years old. Yeah, like 3 times as old as I am, and they just
at 90
slackline.
Years old they started slackline.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, these people are not walking like at great heights, but they try to balance on a short and very low slackline in the garden at first. But I still find it very impressive that people, especially at this age, like have the courage to try something new in such challenging activity like slacklining. So that definitely gives me hope that I can do slacklining for many, many more years.
Are all people in Germany, in Munich, are that adventurous as you are, Lukas?
I think there's a lot of people in the Alps where I live now, which are very adventurous and very keen on finding out new activities, finding out also challenging their own abilities. But I'd say in general, Germans are more on the safety side. So they prefer a safe and nice harbor, probably their couch at best. So I'd say I'm a little bit outstanding on that matter for sure, especially because I continue to challenge myself every day and I'm not really resting on my achievements or victorious feats I've done, but I always like look forward to what I can do next.
What else are you doing? You said you are challenging yourself every day. You're doing something besides slackline to challenge yourself?
Yeah, I've become quite a versatile mountaineer, or like mountain activities are what I'm like trying to explore more and more now. So I'm doing also like a lot of climbing, skiing, mixed ice climbing, and like a lot of these things which are always new to me. And I always try to like mix them up at some point with slacklining again. So climbing higher mountains to set up my slackline at even higher altitudes, at like more difficult to reach places. And I think it's always good to learn something new, and at best you can combine it with something you are already very good in, and then maybe something spectacular can result out of it.
Is there any time for family life and this, or you are not married yet?
I'm not married yet. I have a girlfriend which accompanies me on a lot of the feats I do recently. So she's also very active in mountaineering. She started slacklining just 2.5 years ago when we met. And she's also walking on high slacklines, highlines now. And it's quite a pleasure for me to join like this activity and to enjoy my passion together with her and standing on mountain peaks and slacklines together.
So you choose a person who can do slackline. Person who cannot do slackline cannot be your friend, isn't it?
I wouldn't say they cannot be my friends. That would go a lot too far. I have a lot of friends who are not that active in sports at all. I enjoy the company of a lot of people. I think the main factor which I value in people is if they have a drive and if they have a passion. And if you have a passion for whatever there is in the world, then we definitely can meet up on a same basis, and we can definitely be friends.
Lukas, tell me please, you're talking a lot about slackline, but you also decided to be a speaker, which is quite unusual for an active person who is a champion in extreme sports, but you want to share with people about these sport things. And you talk about burnouts at business, burnout at job place, burnout, being burned out in life. What do you think? What is connection between slackline and you speak about burnout? Because a lot of people are really very tired. They don't find any motivation, and to go every day to office it might be very boring and not interesting. How not to be burned out?
Yeah, I think what we face as a community and as a society in general is the problem that we put too much pressure on ourselves, and we have too little balance in our lives between stress and relaxation. And I think on the slackline, what becomes very clear very quickly is that you can only keep your balance and that you can only maintain your balance for a longer period of time if you also find the ability to relax yourself, because you cannot be fully stressed and under like a lot of pressure for 2 hours walking along Slackline. It just doesn't work. And like 2 hours is still like a very short period of time. So for most of the people I'm talking to, like the pressure in their jobs, in their lives, it has been going on for like days and weeks and maybe even years. So I think
for interrupting, this time when you're on Slackline, when you are walking, you said it's like 2 hours. You mean that you are not always stressed? There's sometimes that you are relaxed. How is that?
Exactly. Like it starts with the small things. Like if you get too stressed out on a slackline, and if it gets too tiring holding your arms up, you just have to rest your arms like once in a while. So you have to like put down one arm after the other and relax yourself a little bit. Find like the relaxation in the small and little details. Because I think obviously I'm in a very stressful situation at that moment, and I cannot completely relax and chill down, put myself on the couch or something. But I can find like the small moments where I can relax myself for just maybe a second. And I think what we have to find in all our lives more and more is to find and value the very little moments where we can relax. And this can be like a simple moment when we are maybe just washing our hands in the bathroom and we're looking in the mirror, and we can give ourselves a smile and give us a moment of appreciation for ourselves instead of rushing further to our job just to get it done more quickly. It can be just 1 or 2 breaths we take like very intentionally before we get on a call, before we get out of the car or whatever. Like it's just this little moment in life which we have to make use of to relax in between. It's not the 2 months vacation we need. It's really just small stops in the day where we appreciate ourselves and where we like relax ourselves very much. And I think that is what I have experienced on the Slackline a lot, that we have to just find those little moments, and they matter the most.
But at the same time, Lukas, you cannot be completely relaxed, because if you will be completely relaxed, you will just fall down from your rope and you will go into the water, and it might be very dangerous.
Absolutely. But that's the same thing like in life. Like we can hardly ever in life like completely relax and just don't give a shit of anything. We always have to be at some focus. But I think what we all have to learn is that this focus doesn't need to be 100% all the time, but we have like to have it in waves where we have like 100% for the task we definitely need, but then also maybe like reduce it to a 20% level if there is a moment where we can actually do this. And like realizing where we have to put in how much energy and how much focus is, I think, the great challenge of life.
What do you consider, Lukas, your biggest achievement at the moment?
My biggest achievement, yeah, I think personally, I value it a lot that I am in the sport of slacklining for 15 years now, and that I have been pushing the sport for probably 10 years in a row. So I think what I appreciate in other people is if they are at the top of whatever they do for a long period of time, because it comes down to the balance you have in life. It comes down to the continuous effort you put in. I think showing that you have an appreciation, that you have a passion, which is strong enough to keep you motivated for a decade, to like keep on pushing, to be totally involved and at the top of the game you're playing, is I think a lot more valuable than being the superstar just for 1 year and then disappear and never being heard again.
I agree with you. I always think about stars like Britney Spears, or Britney Spears is a legend, of course, but there's some stars who are stars for 1 year, and then after 3 years, nobody remember them. So your approach is to be a long-term star, not to stop at short time. And also I read one of the Japanese authors. He said that if you plan to live 70 or 80 or 90 or even 100 years, plan your life so you shouldn't stop at the age of 30, 40, where you spent all your physical abilities, where you spent all your money. And then at the age of 50, you find out, as Arabic people say, halas, it's finished. You don't have health, you don't have money, but you still want to live 30 more years. And so it's like a marathon.
Exactly. I think it's absolutely like this. And that's why it's so crucial to find the right balance between stress and relaxation and like effort and like also downtime, because we all want to live a very long and hopefully very fulfilled life where we achieve things like not only once a year, but like continuously over and over. And especially therefore, it's so important that we appreciate our own bodies, that we appreciate our own minds, and that we give it the rest it needs to also perform at the next moment. So I think really the balance between the two is what we all need to live a long life. And I definitely enjoy being an athlete for a very long time already, but I definitely look forward to many, many more years living that life.
And my final question to you, Lukas, is about why you, being a great sportsman, so devoted, devoting 15 years of your life to promoting that sport, to make a lot of Guinness records, which definitely requires a lot of health, a lot of devotion, a lot of time, and maybe some money even. Why you decided to be a speaker for businesses, for for people? It's not very often when professional sportsmen speak. Why you think it's important? Why are you doing that?
I think slacklining has taught me a lot of lessons in life, which I probably did not learn at university, but which I personally also used very successfully in my university times. It taught me a lot about patience. It taught me a lot about how much effort you have to put in to get a result. And I think it's just a lot of things in this sport which are great metaphors for life and for a business. And I think I just feel the call to tell people about what I learned, how I tackle problems, how I achieve my dreams, how I follow my dreams. And if I can inspire people also in the business world with those stories, then this just gives me a lot of appreciation for what I've done. And it gives the whole thing I did over the last 15 years a lot more meaning also to myself, because it's not only a selfish fulfillment of my own dreams, but it's also sharing a passion, and it's giving other people advice, which I personally got for free.
And now that is really my last final question. What you will recommend to hidden heroes, to people who are a little bit afraid to be heroes, who have something that is pulling them back?
I think we're all hidden heroes at different stages in life, and I think the most important thing to consider is not what can happen, what can go wrong, but you can always consider what you could achieve if it actually worked out. And this should motivate you to overcome your fears. This should put you in a place where you think about what you can actually get, what you can experience, or what you could actually do in your life if it wasn't for the fear holding you back. And if you concentrate on this positive outcome, then you eventually will overcome your fear just by yourself, because you really urge to get this positive outcome. And you will learn along the way that the fears mostly are much, much bigger in our heads than they are in reality.
Lukas, I want to thank you very much. Number one, you make me interested in Slackline, because I think it's something interesting to try, and maybe I cannot try it immediately above the big lake, but at least the sand on the beach, and then I can continue doing that. I think it's very adventurous. And also I like very much your energy, very positive, very inspiring. And the thing that you share with people, all that knowledge, which is quite unique, it deserves big respect. I wish you
Thank you very much.
New records. Success to you, success to your business, and success in relationship as well with your beautiful girlfriend. Thank you
very much
for being with us. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. And